All right, hello, welcome everybody. It's George Leoniak, a new geometry, and I'm super thankful today to have Frank Chester back on. We did an interview back in, I believe it was December. So a lot has happened since then, and just grateful to welcome Frank back. Frank, how you doing today?
Oh, fine, thanks.
All right.
Thanks for inviting me.
I love the background today, as we were just mentioning. You just tilted the screen down. Let's take a look at that again. I mean, that's a beautiful geometric sculpture. Maybe we're going to talk about that in another video that Frank and I were just discussing. But we're going to today probably talk about a variety of things. Some is going to be relating to the human heart, but also, Frank, you want to just show the image that you just showed me, the 3 stars?
Yeah, here it is.
Yes. Now that's in Frank's book, and I would say that that design, just to get the ball rolling for us, is really what drew me to Frank's work. I mean, and the Chestahedron, of course, but the geometry that was laid out there. And when Frank told me that that contained the template of the Chestahedron, because I didn't see it at first, it was totally mind-blowing to me of how he used the 5 proportions and the stars and the circles. So Frank, how did that one, how did you come up with that one in your process of working with geometry?
Well, the first thing I did was I had a 5-pointed star that started with,
Yeah.
And that was 2-dimensional. And then I thought, well, let's put that into 3 dimensions. So I did. The first way you do is you take and you fold it and you can make 4. You know?
That's the pattern. Yeah, Frank, hold on. I mean, that's a pattern I made. I used to call it the Love Ahedron. I call it the Love Ahedron because you fold up the 4 pentagon faces. I mean, I have hundreds of those built. You were working smart to make that thing. I was like, Frank did it with 3. I'll see what happens with 4. And I got videos way back in my early ones that talk all about that.
Oh, that's great. It's a great way to start.
Yeah.
Well, and then I took and I put 3 of them together, and I got the Chestahedron. That's 3.
Yeah. So you just fold.
I just, it's amazing. I didn't know you could do that.
You just take that right off the paper and just can fold it right up like that, huh?
Yeah. There it is. See, right off the paper.
Wow.
I don't know if it's going to fit right, but yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty close.
Totally.
Actual one.
Oh yeah, look at that.
See, and what I'll do is I'll slip it away. See.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what happened with that geometry, and then of course you can start to work with it in other ways. As you can see, this is finally going off into space. It's not flat anymore. It's now a plane that's moved like this.
Yeah, see.
Okay, so then after I had that information, okay, I wanted to find out where the center of a triangle was, and you've explained that very well, that all you have to do is divide the sides in half and then connect them, and that's the very center of the triangle, no problem, right? But where the center of the kite is also important, but I have to get the center. So I went to the physics books, and they all said to take a triangle, a quadrilateral, and all you have to do is take the kite, okay, and you divide this in half. There's a mark. Divide that in half, and then you cross these like that, and that should give you the center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what they say in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Any quadrilateral. You think about a regular square, fine, half. Okay, so I thought, well, now, wait a minute, I have to make sure that I agree with that. So I thought, I'll put a string right in the middle where those cross and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not the middle.
It should be balanced, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be balanced.
Yeah.
So if I had followed the physics books, this is what the reason I say this is that you have to be careful. You have to really do your own research because this is poor information. So what I decided to do is how would I do it? So what I did is I took the kite and I cut it in half, or I drew a line in half. Then I used that system.
Mhm.
But you see how that's just one triangle. See that? That's a long triangle, isn't it? Look.
Yeah, yeah.
So I did it on this side, did it on this side, and where they crossed,
Yeah, I see it.
I drew a line. And then I put the string in there.
Oh, hold it up a little more. There you go. You're getting into the balance point there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the balance point of a kite. And of course, you know, this is just one way to test it with the string, but it worked perfect. So now that I had those two, I was able to put triangles, okay, in those spaces now. So I had a triangle here in the bottom of the Chestahedron. Then I had a triangle here, which were the 3 points that I just showed you on the kite.
Yeah.
So that makes a blue triangle for the kite and a yellow triangle for the triangles. So now I have these two triangles. So the first thing I did was I spun it. And when I spun it, I got two circles.
Hmm.
So
I'm
this
with
is showing you how to get into 3 dimensions. So I got two circles because when you spin the blue one,
Yeah.
it turns into that circle. And you spin the yellow one, turns into this circle. Now I got this distance from between the two lawfully, or the distance between these two. That's that distance. So I have a circle and these two distances. All right, so then what I did was I flattened it out. Now I have two circles that interrelate. They're different sizes, but there's a sort of a vesica there, but not really. It's not lawful.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what I did there was I took those two circles and I made a drawing. I wonder if I should go and show you that drawing. I probably should.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, it sounds like it's going to
Okay,
be.
I'm gonna take the computer with me.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're all sitting here, you know, waiting to just see how this is going to play out. So we want to see that drawing, I imagine.
Okay.
All right. Let's check it out.
All right, here it is.
All right, let's see. What do you got? Oh, yeah, this one's in your book too, I think. The new geometry book, NEW geometry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it right there. So those are the two circles overlapping, huh? Creating that stuff.
Yeah, those are the two circles. So what I did is that on the smaller circle, I made a pentagram.
Yeah.
Because this is, you know, a pentagram.
Yeah.
The one I made the pentagram, okay, there are 5 little stars here. See these stars here?
Yep.
And I extended this pentagram up here to the point and continued it to the top circle. And it divided the top circle, which was blue. It was, oh no, it was a yellow circle that I originally showed you. And it divided the other circle exactly into 7.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I could not, but I mean, I didn't do this. So anyway, so I have the 5 and the 7, which is 12.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's just unbelievable. So then you see, you never know what you're going to discover with geometry. You just don't have to follow somebody's book. All you got to do is follow yourself. So after that, I found out that the pentagram at the bottom made 5 stars, kind of they're actually 2 cones. And those 5 stars will continue go into the 7 and be the same size stars all the way through. So we have 11 stars because these stars overlap this way. So it's really only 11, but there's 2 behind there, which is really significant too. But now I've got 12 stars. They're all the same size. They're going around in 2 circles and makes a figure 8. Okay, and there's a golden relationship with those. So I'm gonna just set this down for a minute.
Yeah.
And one more thing to show you.
Okay. Okay. Frank, you're just blowing my mind here. I mean, I don't really go back and watch my videos so much, but I'm going to probably watch this one a lot. I'm going to have to work on this. All right, we'll wait for Frank to get back. He's coming
Here we
back
go.
here to blow our
So
mind.
anyway, those stars that you see there, see those golden stars? Okay, really are 2 cones.
Uh-huh.
One going inside to the periphery, and the other one is the same thing. So this is a 3-dimensional interpretation of those stars. And of course, if you make a sculpture, they look like this. Now that's a beautiful sculpture. Look at that.
Wow. So did you put the 5 over the 7 there? Is to put the circles back on top of one another there again? Is that
Yeah, just like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. So if I take this up to here,
Uh-huh.
to the drawing, so there it is.
Oh, that's that little star shape there, huh?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
12 of these in here.
That is amazing. And it all came from those little circles back to that little experiment you did in the beginning with the Chestahedron, those 2 circles.
Exactly.
Oh my
It all
God.
came from that drawing that you were interested in the beginning. It all came from that and led to this. It led to this. And then I found out that those 2 circles. So yeah, we're back to our seat.
Yeah.
Now, those, see, we go back to these circles again.
Mhm.
What I'm trying to show you here is you got interested in something. What you have to do is you have to kind of stick with it for a while and see if you can go from 3 dimensions to 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions to 2 dimensions, because you got to go back and forth. Can't get stuck with one. So here are these.
Mhm.
This is the yellow one. You know, this is bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so when I put those 2 together in spheres, so I took this, these 2 circles, and I put them in a sphere. So, so here's the sphere. There's only half a sphere here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the top sphere has the 5.
Oh yeah.
See
Nice.
the top?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And the bottom has the 7.
Oh wow.
Now, if you take one of the stars, which is right here,
Yeah.
and you run lines through the 2 cubes to the other top, it comes out to the other side perfectly in the other star. That's at the little one.
Oh my gosh.
So here you got these, I have these rods that go through. So I'm gonna twist it around. Can you see the little gold star there?
Yep, I see it.
If I twist these around to this side,
Yeah, to the
it
bottom.
goes on the complete opposite side to the other side
So they
of
run
the
right through
star, and they're both the same size and they're different spheres.
because they're held at that same proportion between the upper and lower, that they'll just, that line will run right through them and touch tip to tip, huh?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Oh my
And this,
gosh.
and the center of the star is the same, the center of this star.
Yeah.
So then what I did after that is I
hope everybody's mind's being blown as much as mine is. This is pretty cool stuff.
so anyway, these guys right here,
Yeah.
okay, I designed a building around them. So I built this building,
Uh-huh.
and you can see the rings and the spheres.
Yeah.
This is all based on that drawing I showed you with the square, with the stars, the 12 stars.
Yeah.
And then here's the building.
Oh yeah, totally. You know, as you were showing me that, I was starting to get visualizations of this because I've seen this in your book. I was like, hey, this is starting to look like that structure there. And this is how it came to be, I guess, through that whole process.
Yes, well, I wanted to show you how you go from a pentagram, a simple 5-pointed star, and start playing with that geometry.
Yep.
Start connecting 3 stars together, cut them out, glue them together, okay, and then make them flat again, and then put them in the sphere, and then make architecture based on it. So this is a one little application of taking a 5-pointed star, okay, and putting 3 together, making 7, on and on and on.
Yeah, so that image you're holding there, it's like the rounder, bigger circle on the back side of the image is that same 2 circles overlapping, and the 5-pointed star would be underneath that dome structure. And then now it's also vertical too, because the Chestahedron's in the middle of that. So you have it in all those directions at once there, it looks like.
Yes, and you can imagine it would be nice to be able to go in a building like that.
Oh,
See
man.
this top ring there, okay, you can walk around. I mean, it's stained glass, but it's very thick, and you can walk around it. And then, of course, I don't know if this one shows it or not. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't. But when the sun comes down, it shines through that circle and makes a colored circle on the cement on the ground, okay, that's based on Goethe's color wheel. He was the first one to find the different polarities of color. So you can combine so many things, okay, with just one discovery that you make.
The colors in there, the geometry is in there, and then I bet you the wind as it's going through those slots there would create music too.
Okay, so see, George is really he really picks up quick. Those strings that he's just mentioned, I don't know if anybody can see them, but they're all over. And those strings are based on the geometry. And this is the largest string instrument in the world.
Yeah.
And all of those strings can be played with bows. Okay. And when the wind does go through it, it makes a certain tone depending on what time it is, the sun, how hot it is, and what direction the wind comes from.
Yeah, totally. That is
This is a musical instrument.
Oh, geez, that's just thank you so much for sharing that, because this is a huge part of your work that you've done that I've never really hear you talk about much, because you're just very.
No, I don't talk about it.
No, well, this is a special video. Thank you.
And you see, I have it in palm trees. You see the palm trees? There you also see the Golden Gate Bridge too, but but I set it in palm trees because I figured this would be going into Hawaii, into an island called Lanai, because Lanai is the heart of the Hawaiian Islands. So this would be a structure built for studying the human heart. So anyway, that makes a lot of sense. That's pretty big. See, I've been doing this for 22 years, so you can see what I've been doing, what's taken so long. It seems like I'm kind of slow, but I've done a lot with stuff.
Oh, I would love to see that be created, and that would be phenomenal. So we have to have better templates and blueprints, but maybe all we really need is the sacred geometry, like you're saying, and then we could discover that. So you've planted a lot of seeds there for exploration, for sure.
Yeah, because that's why I wanted to come on your program, because there is another program like yours. The thing about what's great about yours, first you're teaching it, but also what you bring out to your viewers, okay, is new things that you found that they could pick up and run with if they want. They could. I mean, you've left so much, paths and pathfinders showing everything you found on your path. That's great. That's what I tried.
That, Frank. I mean, it's I am laying it out as clearly as possible, but what you're doing for me, what you did for me in the beginning is like, I'm working primarily with the Platonic Forms, a lot of things that are known in books. I discover them, I find out they're created. What you're showing me is how to play with that, play with it even more, be more creative with it than just be within the confines of what exists out there.
But you see, what you did is what I did. I did the same thing when I started.
Yeah,
I did exactly what you're doing, what you did, but I didn't bring it to the people because I didn't have a computer. I didn't discover any of this stuff. I didn't even own one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're able to do a lot more than I have been. So Most important is that I show that there is a process here that you can use, okay, to take something you love that you found. I mean, I found, oh my gosh, I have created so many forms that I had to stop. And I had to stop because I was running out of room. And with these cardboard things, they were everywhere. So I had to stop and decide what I really loved.
Yeah, well, one thing that popped in my head there that would probably be good to address is just your approach around it. And you often use the word lawful in a lot of your presentations, and just what does that mean? Like, how are you approaching in a way that puts it in the confines of, let's just say, sacred geometry in a kind of a universal principle, lawful way? Like, how does that inform you in your decision-making process rather than just, creating? I mean, it's great to be totally creative and everything like that, but how is the geometry? How do you hold yourself to the integrity of the geometry, basically, within that process? What's your balance between the two of those extremes of completely rigid and lawful to, totally free form? Are you dancing between those lines in your creative process?
Well, everything I show you and everything I've done is lawful.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, even when I go to very organic, okay, it's still lawful organic, just like I showed the bubble. That's the best example. But I think what's important is that I use the Platonic forms exclusively, and I still am. And so the Platonic forms, there are 5 of them. Okay, and all your guests probably know that for sure from you.
Mhm.
All right, so alchemically, you have the 4 elements: earth, water, air, and fire. Okay, earth, water, and air, fire covers one of the geometric forms. So for instance, the first form we have is fire, that's an element. And that of course is the tetrahedron.
Mhm.
Okay. And why is it fire? Well, because it has the sharpest points, and it holds less volume than any other form, and it's lighter, and on and on and on. So each of the forms have characteristics.
Mhm.
Okay. So that you go in a circle, there are 4 elements, and one in the middle, which really nobody's decided. They call it the etheric, they call it the akasha, they call it the key, well, they whatever. They don't know what the hell it is. So the other 4 they do. Now that because of Kepler, Pythagoras, um, many of the geometrists in the past have said what these forms are in the elements, which one's earth, which one's air, which one's fire, which is water, and so forth. So when you go into a process of a form you want to transform, you try to put it into one of those elements.
Mhm.
So if you start with fire, okay, the next one on the list, okay, is air. Now, air, okay, is a reversal of earth. Okay, so if you go to air, you know that there's a reversal process going on here. So that means what you try to do is take your form and reverse it.
Mm.
And that means like take it and turn it inside out.
Mhm.
All right, so when I first got into this, nobody taught me this because I had to take it into sculpture, and nobody ever took the elements like this into sculptures. But also I was lucky I found a form I really liked, which was the Chestahedron.
Mhm.
Okay, so when I first decided, well, let's see, turn something in it. Well, it means if I take a glove, I put it on this hand, I can take it off, and I'll put it on the left hand.
Yeah.
But the glove, okay, is the first thing you kind of thought. It's not 3-dimensional. It's only 2-dimensional skin.
Mhm.
Okay, you got to have something solid. Okay, so there starts the process of your thinking. Is how do you make a solid hand? Reversed. How do you reverse a bell? I reversed the bell. I found the bell and reversed it.
Mhm.
And then that leads you to something new, okay, that you can go to next if you want, or to keep reversing.
Mm.
Okay, so this is really important. The elements were the forms, the 5 forms, who in the hell knows where they came from? They're coming out of the dirt in Ireland, and been buried for how many thousands and thousands, give me a break. They're finding these in Rome and on and on and on. So that's fine. That's fine. They're very, very important, these forms. Oh, brother, are they important? So if you can find something that relates to them, that's really important too.
Hmm.
And then if you try to transform them by putting through these elements, okay, you can find things that have never been here. Okay, and that's what you're doing with your with your 5 circles,
Hmm.
is you're starting to show these things and what's the possibilities and so forth and are. And the way you use a computer is really great. I think it's excellent way of showing this. I never used a computer. I still don't, but it doesn't mean that it's not an important tool. It's a very important tool. My gosh. So, you don't have to use a computer, or you do have to use a computer. Either way, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think that the transformational forms, like I'll just grab one that I've been working with recently. Was this is the rhombic triconahedron, which is usually you see this as flat faced, right? All the way around, and it's the fusion of the compound of the icosahedron and the dodecahedron. So if you cross these lines like here and here, and they were flat, that would be the compound of these two. But in building the geometry and working with it, I saw that this little shape here that's sinking in here could either be convex more or go in with the same dimension.
Good. You would see those are reversals.
Exactly. So when you start
That's known
talking
as
about reversal,
air.
that's what I'm doing with this. And that's air. You know why that's air? This is my next video. I'm going to talk about this a lot, but because you're bringing it up, each of these points, these little divots there, those are actually points of 5-octahedron. A compound of 5-octahedron are each of these points. So if I blew this up like that, these would all blow out, and that air would infuse into this. Air would blow it up, and then if I sucked in, they'd go back in. This shape actually breathes. This is my visualization from this morning, Frank, that you're talking about the air reversal. And for me, it's strongly relating to this little form that I already got. So hopefully that summarizes a little bit of what you're saying. I'm getting a lot of head nods, so it seems like it's on the right track there with the reversal with air on that one.
Yeah, you also have to remember that that description of what you're going to do, okay, back and forth are polarities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're going from the center to the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
Center to periphery. That's what the heart does.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that is so important what you're doing, because that's what's going inside you. That's what's going on inside. And that's the part that you can make more alive, since you are able to do it in a form. In your hands or on the computer, you will actually give your heart, it allows it to relax, because it's allowing you, okay, and the blood that goes through the heart to expand and contract, and that's what it does.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's a transformational process, as you know, of working with geometry, how it works on you without you having to think about it. It's so totally. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, look at that. That's just kind of compressed in there. I've got a whole new shape that just
Yeah, I
developed
know, it's so cool.
just
Keep
by
working
accident.
on it. Now, how about a stellation? Stellate it.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, I've got things going on, but I think the heart work that you're talking about. But I wanted to say a few more things about the Platonic solids, or ask you some questions. I mean, the display behind you. I mean, Frank, before the video, we started talking about that. That was a transformational process of what you can explain in a minute. But each of those 4 going out are related to the Platonic forms, and Frank was just sharing a little bit before about how those are transformational in relationship to the elements. So I got that one little thing if you want to say about that, Frank. But also, how is the Chestahedron, because it is a 7-sided form, and when it's in the equal area faces, how did you feel that related to an element for you? Was there something that kind of rose up for you and kind of connecting it? Because all the other Platonic forms have a kind of resonance to the elements, or is there something that resonated there with you? Two questions, really. Anything you want to say about what's behind you, or anything in regards to the Chestahedron? You've mentioned a few things to me in the past, and I don't know if you have a set thing. Maybe it's new in every moment, but what would you like to share on that?
Well, yeah, of course, there are only 5 of those forms, and the Chestahedron is not one of them. The Chestahedron is an interval.
Mhm.
The Chestahedron is between 2 Platonic forms. It's exactly in a balance of 2. So it's like the black key is on the piano. It's a half note. It's right in between. Okay, it's a transformational form, and that's what the heart does. Is it transforms
Mhm.
every less than 1 second your entire life. So
Mhm.
it is in between 6 and 8. It's 7. Okay, so if you have 8 sides, you have an octahedron, right?
Yep.
So the octahedron, the Chestahedron, will actually turn into a form of an octahedron.
Hmm.
Okay, the other side is a cube. It's just 6, right? So 6 and 8. Okay, the Chestahedron will turn into a cube.
Mhm.
So between those 2 Platonic forms, I found an interval.
Mm.
Okay, and it can go back and forth, which is what it does. So it's not a Platonic form, but it is a balance between 2. And of course, the cube is earth, and the octahedron is air, and those are reversals. So the Chestahedron is reversing. It's a
Mm.
reversal transformation.
Yeah, and it's
I don't
also,
know if that helps.
well, it does, but it also is the tetrahedron that is within the cube that is going through that transformation as it rotates through, right?
Yes.
And so as it's rotating through, what happens to that tetrahedron is that it opens up the sides of 4-sided tetrahedron, opens up, and then you get the pentagon, the kite faces emerge through that rotation. So that's
Yes.
really interesting that it's the tetrahedron is transforming within that process.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Now you see, where are you going to read that? Where is that? Hey, give me a break. You've got all these guys, these doctors, and these people who are into physics, and they're into the 4th and 5th dimension. Give me a break. Come on, get yourself some scissors and get that compass going again, would you? Please.
Hey, well, I think we'll save the thing behind you for maybe another visit, because that will be fun. There's a whole thing if we feel called. But I did, in preparation for us, and I know we're trying to keep this one short, but
No, that's okay. You could go along. I don't feel tired.
okay. Well, I'm sure these next slides, because I did, watch one of Frank's recent videos and pulled just some slides out. And I think, so much of Frank's work, rather than making these cool designs, these cool drawings, going for third, he really puts so much energy into learning about the human heart. I think in an email exchange, I said, I feel like I'm communicating with someone who, knows more about the heart than maybe anybody on the planet right now, of how you went about this process. So I wanted to share these slides and let viewers know that.
Well, let me just comment on it.
Okay, of
That
course.
is right. I did say that about the heart. See,
Yeah.
the problem is I do know more about the heart probably than anybody on the planet. Now, I'm not a doctor, don't care to be one, but the idea is that I understand a part of it they don't.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I can go to them and I can work and study and pass the tests. I can do all that too.
Yeah.
But they can't do what sacred geometry can do, because they ignore it. They ignore it because they've been trained. It's been trained out of them.
Hmm.
What has been trained into them is what's out of these books. These books are written by one guy who learned it from another guy who wrote another book, and it just goes on, and nothing new can come in. Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. Of course. I mean, you took this artistic expression, this artistic route to it. You didn't go and trying to find this. It started to emerge through all your process of, that I'll show in some of these slides and you could talk about.
Sure.
But it's totally from the creative angle. And then you researched, your curiosity and asking questions, and then actually reading the books and finding out more. I mean, I love this image because this is from, I would suggest everybody who's watching this, check out this video on Frank's channel. You could just type it in, "The heart is not a pump, or is it? New research of the Chestahedron." So that's the video, I think, that Frank is most recent video where it's just him talking about all his research. You know, and this is beautiful because you're starting off right away with this most simple form that many of the viewers are probably familiar with, is the √3 measurement created by the two circles. And how Frank went about that, with how it showed up in the heart, is just phenomenal, as how you see it throughout the remainder of that video. But here are some slides just illustrating that. And Frank, if you want to say, I'll just kind of scroll through them because we didn't want to replicate the whole video, but there are certain things in here maybe you'd want to address as we go through.
Well, all the Platonic forms you can blow a bubble in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what I'm showing here. I put a bubble into a 7-sided form, and there's that 3 stars in the background. See it?
Yeah, yeah. That's where I had it in the slide. That's where I figured we might talk about
funny. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you describe in the video here working with minimum surfaces. And in fact, it got me thinking about this, like, what's the minimum surfaces here? I'm curious what things would show up with these. But so you've got these working with the minimum surfaces, and you know, that is how you, this, I just love this sculpture. I mean, I'd never seen this one before, but it blew my mind how you blew up the bubble in the Chestahedron, and that is how you made your big discovery to kind of make an organic form out of the straight line geometry of the heart.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, and you can try that. You know, the more sides that you have, more faces that you have, the harder it is for the bubble. But it's okay. You can keep trying. Remember that all the bubble is being supported by the edges. So first off, it has to be a wire form, of course. And I used soda straws to do most of my bubble research. But try it. Just try it with a cube, or try it with whatever you have. Yeah.
No, totally. I mean, I think it's so cool to see, because this is part of the, what element would you say this is that you're working with in this transformational process here? Because you're putting in a transformation. Is this connected to an element, or you just call it minimum surfaces? I mean, you're working with water. I mean, you're blowing bubbles in water. I don't know if that's related, but what do you think?
Well, remember, this is the best way to remember it. My description of minimum surfaces is that every single form that's made geometrically, anyone, all of them, are trying to become a sphere. And in the process of trying to become a sphere, the edges pull on the bubble's minimum surface, which is very, very thin. Okay, it causes the bubble to bow out and start to become a sphere. That's trying to become a sphere. Okay, and so in that process, that's how nature starts to grow. Okay, nature is also found in a wire form, almost like a wire form, but the bubble is the way it becomes organic.
So when you did this, I mean, when did the heart, crop up in your mind? Like, did you blow this bubble and all of a sudden look at it and say, that looks like a heart? Like, what was the aha moment? Because you didn't know a heart would be in this probably until you brought it in through at least this process, or was there another one before that kind of?
Well, no, I knew the Chestahedron was a heart 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had never blown a bubble whatsoever. Okay. But I had studied all the outside of it, where the apex goes like this, and then the sides are like this. So that's what the heart looked like. I thought, well, my gosh, maybe this is. I turned it upside down and started to measure those different spots. And then I realized, by gosh, it could be the heart. Okay. And the reason that these angles here are compared to these is that when you fold it, it doesn't go back in. Because a heart can never collapse. It can only expand.
Yeah, we've got some of those pumping vortex pump thing going on with we'll explain that in a second. But, like I said, watch the video. We're just going to add little extra pieces here in our conversation. This is what I was describing for about how the Chestahedron is in the cube, and Frank is, rotating it through here and showing you that there's the kite faces of the regular tetrahedron, 4 sides emerging. But the cool link here, I don't think you have to say a lot about that one, Frank, is this discovery here of the X-rays, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably want to share a little bit of that, because this was a huge discovery, at least of how you took, the heart in the chest and related it to the cube in the Chestahedron.
Absolutely. The doctors don't even know that. All they know is they take a side view. It looks 45 degrees. Oh, this side looks 40. Oh, top 45. In their minds, they don't have a sacred geometry background in them to understand what two-dimensional is in relationship to a real heart, which is three-dimensional.
Yeah.
So I put the X-rays into a cube to show them, okay, and they're just silence. It's just silence. They see the reason that the tetrahedron sits in the cube the way it does at root 3 is because that is the balance, okay, of the life experience on Earth. The cube is the Earth. The cube is what is called, everything that's different is a cube, because the cube is the only form that has 90 degrees. It's the only form, okay, that has the way we stand, the way the trees grow, every aspect of the Earth that we experience, okay, is in that cube. So that's why this is the Chestahedron, the heart in our body is what makes us stabilized in our experience of living in the earth and then finally dying.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, it's just, it's amazing that the Chestahedron brought you into some of those realizations and revelations as well, for sure. We're going to.
I also just tell you one more thing. When
Yes.
I was studying the heart, my wife was getting her doctorate degree, and one of her courses was at the San Francisco University, California, and she got a library card, and she took this course for 1 year. I took the library card, and I went into the medical section, and I checked out every book that had anything to do with geometry about the heart. I used to have a cart that I used to put the books in to wheel them out because I couldn't carry them all. I went through every book in that library. And so the thing is that you have to study. You can't just say, hey, man, that's the heart. No. You got to do a lot of studying to find out if it is or not. So you approach it by not that. What is wrong that it shows that it's not a heart? What are the things about it that it is that it's not a heart? Because that's what's going to happen. Once you bring this out and start talking about it, everybody's going to look what's wrong. And so you have to look and find out what's wrong before they do.
Yeah, well, you certainly have done a thorough amount of research that broke through a lot of those barriers. I really hope that your work gets more acknowledgement than it has been. It has been in a few books or a few research. I don't know how many research. You're doing some talks with different, in the past with physicians, I think I've heard. Is that true? That you've connected with a few researchers of the heart over time? What has been the response?
Yeah, I've had two doctors come to me in 22 years. And one tried to basically plagiarize the form, and the other one uses it as, the other doctor, he actually wrote a chapter in a book he wrote about the heart, which was very nice. A very nice man to do that. I really liked it, but it's only been two.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you have this image up here.
Oh, I love this. This is one of my favorites. I mean, I love this.
Oh, this is good. You're going to like this then.
Okay.
All right. Now,
you want to say anything about this first, or you just want to roll into it? Do you want me to go to the full screen for you so we could see this better if you're going to do a display? Yeah, let's go. I'll stop the share because it looks like you got something in store for us.
Okay, so the most influential, the most serious thought out research on the heart, okay, that I have found, the most outstanding, and all this time I've been studying, is one man, and he's a doctor. He's he really liked anatomy. Okay, and he dissected the heart. So I found his book, and in it I found this image that I'm going to show you, which is the most thought process of what the heart is all about that anybody I've found. And here's his drawing. It really helped me.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It is the best.
Oh, it
And
looks like
this-
someone's rolling up the napkin there. One of those images there looks like that.
Yeah, of course. Look
Yeah,
at that work he did.
amazing.
More than any other person I have found on the planet so far. This
Mhm.
guy's the best. This drawing was made, this is the best, okay? This drawing was made 150 years ago.
Wow.
The most helpful, the most understanding of the human heart was done 150 years ago.
Wow.
Now just think about that. 150 years ago, my God. And there's nothing as good as this on the there's nothing as good as this. And yet it's not correct.
Oh
But
no.
I thought it was. But I
Uh-huh.
kept working. See, what I do is I take this drawing, I put it on my wall somewhere, and I leave it there for maybe a year or two. Every time I walk by, I look at it
Mhm.
and I think about it. Okay, so go back to those images.
Okay. There we are.
Yeah, all right. So that spiral is what he was trying to do here. See it?
Yep.
The spiral right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I figured out how this would work. And this could only work if I cut the top off, which is called the base. The doctors call it, the cardiologists, they call it the base. And the very bottom of the heart, they call it apex. Okay, so to get these drawings and to get all the drawings that they have today, they cut the base off.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you cut the base off of the human heart, you can do this. You can unspiral it. It will turn like this.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's what I found when I did it with the Chestahedron, that I found out the inside and the outside are parallel, and that it can make these circles. But I had to cut the base off too.
Mhm.
Now, when I did that, that was really, really, it bothered me, because it seemed to me that you shouldn't be cutting these things off.
Mhm.
So what I did was I did my studies with the base. Now they cannot understand how the angles come down at 30 degrees. They don't understand how one side can be 30 degrees off opposite the other one. And the reason they don't understand it is because they cut the base off.
Mm.
If you leave the base on, it makes perfect sense. So all of these here really inspired me, but they're all incorrect.
Mm. That's
So
because
I'm going to show you.
That's what, because they cut the base off. Is that why they're incorrect? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Now I'm going to show you what this spiral looks like with the base.
You want me to get out of the screen share, or is this it?
No, I'm going to go get it. Just
Oh,
wait.
you're gonna go get it. Okay, then I'll stop the share again. Is this a new one that you were gonna share?
Brand new. I've never seen. No one's ever seen it.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you said something like that when we talked.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So, see, this is one of my studies here. You have to study these things, and you have to study all the lines. See all the lines?
Mm-hmm.
Those are myofibers. Those are called muscle fibers in the heart. They're cardiomyofibers. And the top of the base, okay, as you can see, there's these angles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't see that. They don't see that. So what do those angles mean? So here's the latest. I still have clamps holding it together. But here is the major discovery that no one has ever seen before.
Oh, wow. That
Look
is
at that.
amazing.
Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen?
Oh,
Now what's happening is on the outside of the heart, it goes up at 30 degrees.
yeah,
See, it goes up like this,
yeah,
and then it turns and twists around and goes back in the opposite direction,
right.
inside. So the inside, and here's outside, here's the inside, outside,
Yeah,
inside. See the difference in degrees?
yeah.
They don't know that. They've never known that.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this, okay, the way this runs here is I made it like a band because there are bands like in the heart.
Mhm.
Okay. And so this, okay, is a Mobius strip in the heart, in the human heart. That's how it goes in one direction, spins itself over, turns itself back, and spins it back in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
And yet at the same time, this is always on the surface. Look, it's
yeah, right.
if I take a bug and draw the bug goes here. See, there's the bug
Yeah.
going again.
That's incredible. That
Isn't this the most beautiful thing? I know it's not there. Can't see it very well.
no, I can see if you just back it up just a little bit, maybe. What's that? Is that your yeah, just
If I put a white background, might help a little bit to see
yeah.
this beautiful movement of
What
the
are
way
those
the heart moves.
yeah, what are those little squares you got going in there? I don't know. I saw just a glimpse of
Where?
these little squares that are going down there.
Those are clamps.
Oh, okay.
See, they're all a bunch of clamps holding it together. I haven't glued it yet. That's how
No,
new
no.
this is.
There's something else in there, Frank. I don't know. It's like hold it, turn it towards you. There's like a translucent type of square.
Oh yeah, right,
What is that?
right. Those that's
X-rays or something?
translucent. I'm gonna put this up close.
Yeah. What's all
All
that?
right, see they're all squares?
Yeah.
Those are 7 squares showing you the directions the muscle takes as it goes from the outside to the inside, which this shows.
Hmm. Oh, are those, do you mean the striations as they change as they go through there? Is that what
Yeah.
you're describing?
So
Oh my gosh.
see, the outside, this striation looks like that.
Yeah.
But when you go inside, it's the opposite. It goes this way.
Yeah.
It goes
Yeah.
like this and like this. I don't know if this might show it better, but here's the top of how those are spinning.
Mhm.
So if you come up to the from the bottom,
Mhm.
apex, and then you go inside, you have to angle way over here like that, and then go in. So this part that goes in, and this part that's coming up from the top,
Mhm.
okay, if you look at those, they're opposite, they're 30-degree angles. So
Mhm.
this one is going this way, and the one over here is going this way.
Yeah.
I know this is hard to show on this, but
I got it. I mean, it's
Really?
just something that's going clockwise on the outside to then turn to reverse to go counterclockwise as it goes over the top on the inside. So it,
that's right.
yeah.
Okay, all the blood, okay, all the blood comes in clockwise,
Mhm.
okay, and it leaves counterclockwise,
Mhm.
okay, and it leaves from the top.
Mhm.
Okay, blood comes in from the top and goes out the top. So all these people are telling you that this Taurus signs, the math signs or whatever, it's all about a Taurus. This is not a Taurus. A heart has nothing to do with a Taurus. A
Mm.
Taurus, you can put your hand right through it like a donut.
Mm.
Okay, there's only one top entry and exit. Nothing goes out the base. Nothing. This isn't a hole.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got a reverse.
See what I mean? How they find something,
Yeah.
they find something geometrically, and then they don't research it enough to realize that there's not a hole in the bottom of the heart.
Mhm.
And then they're putting this on the internet, all these people, all these physicists, and all, it's just a bunch of stuff. You've got to be careful about what you listen to.
Yeah. Well, you have to, like you said in the beginning, you have to do your, start to as best you can explore this with your own research.
You have to do your own research. This thing is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So this is about, oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. Oh, and this is accurate. This is absolutely accurate. From the base to the apex is in the proportion of the real heart in relationship to its different measurements, 3 dimensions. See, the heart is a 3-dimensional working organ. It moves in 3 dimensions. Isn't that amazing? It moves forward and backwards, right and left, and up and down at the same time.
Let me show, because I have a few more slides that just illustrate that, just to let people
I'm
know.
sorry I've taken so much time.
No, I mean, because I put this slideshows together, so I was glad we're getting to it at least, because this of course is that 1 mile, the 1 mile fiber band. I'm not sure what the band's called. Frank called it Frank's loop. You said they had no idea what that is, they don't know what it is, but it turned out to be root 3. These are 2 circles that Frank's described in this video that are back to the vessel now, right? Isn't that amazing? I mean, I sound like you should be talking.
They don't know that. All they know is there's a loop, but they have no understanding where it comes from.
Yeah. So like I said, these are just to, get you excited to go check out Frank's video, and you won't see the awesome sculpture he just showed you, but this is what had led him there. These are the 2. Let's just talk, maybe just skip to this one, because this is those 2 together. And this is what you were describing, Frank, just a moment ago, about forward, backward, up and down, doing all that at once. This sculpture was just mind blowing.
Okay, so let's go back to the Chestahedron.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop the screen there. Yeah.
There's the Chestahedron. So the Chestahedron is a very strong form. I mean, it's right along there with the Tetrahedron, which is one of the strongest of the forms, if you try to compress it. Okay, so you have to learn how to find out how to move geometry. So this is the Chestahedron, and this is how it moves.
I'll just lift it up a bit more. There you go. Yeah.
That's what the heart does on the outside of the heart. All right, so there's also the inside. Here's the inside.
Yeah.
Now the inside doesn't go back and forth like this.
Yeah.
It goes from right to left and forward and backward. Now watch this, what it does.
Right.
I mean, that's fantastic. You can make geometry to that.
Yeah.
And then you can put them together. Okay, and you can make it all together. So the inside and outside are moving. The inside's twisting, the outside's expanding and contracting. Isn't that's what the heart does?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's the geometry. That's what you're working with, George. The same thing.
Not at that level yet, but I mean, it's incredible how you got all that to move in 3 directions at once.
Yes, 3 directions at one time.
Yeah, and that's what the heart's doing, as your research is pointing out.
Yeah, that's what the heart is doing. It is a balanced 3-dimensional. Your balance for the physical is the ear. That balance that's in the brain and around the brain. It balances the physical life. But the heart balances 3-dimensionally our emotional life, the blood, who we are. And we're not a thinker, okay? We're not a thinker. Okay? We have more of a feeling life than we do have a thinking life. The only problem is that we get stuck. Either we get stuck thinking all the time, or we get stuck willing all the time, always moving and never stopping. What you have to do is balance those 2, and the heart does that.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to get into a little bit, because we could really get lost in all the geometry and, all the studies and the research, and then how do you really connect that to our own physical beingness of the heart to become feeling, loving, compassionate, open-hearted, receptive people beyond what our thoughts are saying about ourselves or one another. And
thoughts are all about polarities. Okay, it's 2 halves of the brain, right? They have 2 halves. Okay, so that's the physical part that we have in the polarity. So the reason that we're so stuck in these polarities is because it's the brain thinking all the time. The heart is suffering and has heart failure because of this polarity difference that's happening in the brain. This is part of the congestive heart failure.
And I have a few slides on there. I mean, it's just amazing. Let's just go through those because I mean, everything you're mentioning is connected to
Okay.
your presentation, but I'm glad you're going into it a little more deeply. So that's that slide. Let's just skip to the last one. And I want to do a few more, but this is the congestive heart failure slide
Yeah.
that Frank was talking about. You know, here's the Chestahedron minimum surface version of the left ventricle, if I'm correct, Frank, right? The left,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And you've got some research on the right. I've got a couple slides on those right there. But there's the you know, you describe the transformation that's taking place there in terms of the congestive heart failure, Frank, on these two slides of what's happening.
Yeah. Well, see, they say the cardiologists say that the congestive heart failure looks like a basketball.
Mhm.
I mean, you could think I'm wrong. I'm not. They call it a basketball. It's not. It's a bowed out cube. And the Chestahedron, it goes through a transformation. I have it in the lecture of what that looks like. Okay. And what happens is the congestion happens because the heart can't move like it's supposed to. It doesn't spin. It can't spin as much when it's like this. So the congestive heart failure comes from blood that can't get out of the lungs into the heart.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's called congestive. So the heart can't spin and do its vortex when it's a cube. Can't do it.
And that's what's happening there, as you describe in the video, is that base of the Chestahedron, the largest triangle on the bottom of it, which is the base of the heart, not the apex, is getting reducing in size, smaller and smaller, and bowing out the 6 faces. It's turning from 7 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lose one face.
Mm-hmm.
You lose one face, and the face you lose is the mitral valve. And the mitral valve is the main valve that the blood comes from the atrium, from the lungs. It goes into the heart, into a vortex, okay, and then out, same vortex. And that spinning, okay, can't take place when it becomes a cube.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
that mitral valve gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
yeah.
Blood can't get through it.
And what you're talking about here, I mean, I think I picked out some good slides for you, Frank, here, because I think this is illustrating. There's the micro valve up at the top that Frank described, and this triangle, which is the base of the Chestahedron, is reducing in size, turning into the cube that I'm showing here, right?
That's right. Look, see, it's 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm. So that's closing off the side. It's pinching down on this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's right. Actually, they work together and become 4 and smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is one of my
They have a name for that. When the mitral valve gets smaller and smaller, the cardiologists have a name for that particular action, but they don't know why.
Well, your geometry, I mean, it's just amazing the trails you followed that led you to these discoveries. This is one of my favorite in the video. This is like your big epiphany, it sounded like, when you were sitting with the placemat. You rolled up the placemat to try and figure out how something enters in clockwise and exits, enters in clockwise, exits counterclockwise, right?
Yeah, isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've never seen a video that ever showed that. I see them rolling up a placemat, but they don't know anything about this because they never look at the end of it and they never bend it. See, this blood enters in here, okay, and it comes around and then comes out here. Well, that's why you have these different spirals, because it's the same spiral. It's not 2 spirals.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just, once again, we're only doing a short thing. Check out Frank's video. He describes all this in much more detail. And this was just the last slide I think I wanted to show before we probably transition and close it up here, because this is what you were saying was kind of your latest kind of interest is really starting to get into the right ventricle side, which is very thin, paperweight type of structure, very thin muscle on the outside. But I love this image because there is the vesica, right here. Frank drew in here, back to our original drawing, and there's root 3 being shown in each of those, right over the top of the base, looking down at the heart from above or from the side. So just really cool to see how sacred geometry is just, been part of this whole process. I mean, there's an equilateral triangle based on root 3 around the ventricle, right? You know?
Yes, absolutely. It's root 3. Here it is.
Yeah.
This distance between my fingers is the same as to the center.
Yeah. So half the distance there, huh?
Yes, exactly 1/2. So if you draw a circle, draw a triangle, and put a circle inside there, that circle is exactly half the size of the one you started with. You didn't use any measurements, and it's perfect.
Yeah. You know, what was amazing as I was thinking about this, Frank, before or after I watched the video again, I was like, our heart essentially is the vesica shape, the vesica piscis, vesica piscis shape, 2 circles of creation. This is the root form of creation. You know, this is the basic of sacred geometry, is rolled up inside our chest, you know?
Yeah, it's cell division. It's the same thing. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's just amazing that that's connection to that sacred root shape that so many people are introduced in sacred geometry. And here it is. Your research continued throughout this whole thing. This whole video keeps coming back to the root 3 throughout the whole thing.
Yes,
So
it does.
here it is again. Your heart is
Root 3 is so cool. And you know, in that vesica, in the past, you know, hundreds of years ago, they always put gods in there. Oh, they'll put Mary, they'll put Jesus, they'll put Buddha, they'll put all kinds of different gods and their different beliefs and their different religions in different parts of the world. It's always the vesica where they put them. I
yeah.
don't put them over here or over here. See, that vesica is the division of 3. You know,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. But root 3, okay, separates it out, okay, which is 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's you know, from here to here and from here to here is the same distance. Oh, what the heck goes on here?
I think
It's so simple.
and just another connection there that I'm realizing is that they put the saints in there, but it also represents the heart. I mean, I'm feeling like I'm looking at the vesica now as an unfolded version of the heart, as the 2 circles you have shown can be wrapped up to create that vortex, and
Yeah.
that's contained right here in this pattern. You know, and that's just another heart-centered connection to all those, you know, magnificent souls. Okay, I think that's it for these slides, Frank, but I think we covered a lot of ground there. Boy, my, I didn't think we'd get on all that. But I want to, you know, have you have a few more share if you have anything else to say. But I'm so thankful just to say that thanks, Frank, for coming on again. I'm so happy we connected. Thanks for sharing the newest sculpture that you've created. It just is phenomenal. And I just continue to love to see your work and see where it comes down the pipe, because you're always working on, you know, as you say, keep working on it. That's where the life is. I think that was in that that video that you mentioned. Keep working. That's where the life is. And you're definitely living up to that. So my heart is just filled with gratitude and joy for you being on here with me today.
Yeah, well, I really enjoy your program, what you have to say, what you find, and you as a person, I can tell I like a lot.
All right, that's good. All right, everybody. We'll leave it at that. There's so much in there. Peace, everybody. Much love to everybody. Thanks, Frank, again. Bye.